All right, so I'm Azder. This is Metroid Prime 2 Echoes for the Nintendo GameCube. Start in 3, 2, 1, go. So this is any percent inbounds or no inbounds, which is a lot different from the more commonly run out of bounds category. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
All right. Yeah. Let's start over.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes for the Nintendo GameCube. This is any percent no out of bounds. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Okay. So, so this category is pretty different from the normal 90% category that gets run often with out of bounds.
And that's mainly because of the item loss skip you had just mentioned before technical difficulties happened.
Yeah, so we can't do item loss skip because the only way to skip the item loss trigger is to go out of bounds. So in Echoes, you start the game with 5 major items: missiles, bombs, boost ball, spider ball, and
Space jump.
Space jump, yeah. And so you get to have those items for this little intro sequence here, but you lose them pretty quickly. So that means early game we actually have to kind of navigate without them. Space jump is the one that affects movement the most. It makes the early game movement pretty difficult, actually. Do the self jumps to get around quickly. So space jump is like the double jump item, pretty much, but it's a little bit more than just double jump. It actually increases the height of all your jumps, even the initial one. So not having it for early game kind of sucks. The other thing that really kind of separates this category is because we have to get all of our items back, we have to fight most of the bosses in the game. And the boss fights that we have to do are going to be on much worse equipment than a normal 80% run. In particular, we are skipping the dark suit, and we also don't have the option to sequence break straight to light suit like an out of bounds run would. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have game feed on my end too.
Okay, so this first area, you're supposed to scan this terminal to get this crate out of the way, but you can actually do a slope jump onto this smaller crate over here, and then do some jumps to get around. It's a little bit faster than moving the crate. There's also a strat where you can ride the crate during the cutscene. The strat I did is a little bit faster for real time, but it's a bit slower in game time. But that slope jump is kind of tough with that space jump. We're going to do another slope jump pretty soon when we get the missile launcher to dupe it. So basically there's a cutscene that plays in the next area where you see the fate of the Galactic Federation Marines in this area. You're only supposed to get the missile launcher after that cutscene, but watching it actually respawns the missile launcher in the crate. So if we slope jump to get over the ledge to skip the cutscene, we can actually grab the missile launcher twice, once before the cutscene and once after. And it saves a lot of time to have the extra missiles. So I'm going to give this one a few tries. This one's actually pretty tough.
Yeah, and you'll see that benefit of having the extra missiles immediately with the Alpha Splinter fight. Oh, nicely done.
And we could just do another slope jump to get right up to the door without having to mess with the kinetic orb cannon. This one's a lot easier. And in the next room, there's a whole kind of puzzle you have to do where you have to missile a wall to weaken it and then scan a terminal for another cannon. But we're going to skip it by standing in this hive and doing a couple of dashes from being locked on to this portal up here. That's one of my favorite tricks to do early game, is to skip all the roundabout tunnels and stuff in that room. So this is the first fight in the game. You basically don't have to do this fight in any out of bounds category, because the item you get, the energy transfer module, is just a plot item. But having 10 missiles is really going to shine here, because so Echo's drop system is much better than Prime 1's, because if you're actually out of a certain type of ammo, it has an 80% chance of giving you that type of ammo. So I was able to use my last missile on one of those little splinters and get all of my missiles back. But it only guarantees you to get a missile drop at 0 if you have at least 10. So that's why I have to do the original one. Otherwise, it would not guarantee me a drop.
Isn't it also when you have 10 missiles, it's the ultra drops for the missiles that can start appearing? Or do you need more than that?
Are there 30 missile drops in this game? I think it might just be 5 and 10.
Okay.
I don't remember. The 10s are usually rare, but they're basically a guaranteed drop if you're out, as long as you have at least 10 max. So we're coming up here to get the Violet Translator, the first of 4 translators that let you open these giant gates with holographic Luminoth characters on them. Violet Translator is used to access the first area, Ag and Wastes. So the major regions of this are Ag and Wastes, Torvus Bog, and Sanctuary Fortress. And for no out of bounds, we basically have to do the 3 areas in order. I really like the way this game is laid out. It actually plays kind of like a Zelda game. You spend a pretty major amount of time in each region, and you're kind of dedicated to getting the keys in it and defeating the main boss, and then moving on to the next region. There is some backtracking intended for some of it. So it deviates from the Zelda formula a little bit, but there's some tricks in Torvus and Sanctuary we can use to actually avoid some of the backtracking. But the start of this is going to play out much more normally than an out of bounds run. Out of bounds run is basically like you keep all your powerful starting items, and then you get an early power bomb pack from here right away. And early power bombs actually just let you get to Sanctuary early, just like the final major region. And you can get a lot of powerful items there. But without early power bombs, we are going to get an early power bomb pack at some point, but it's actually going to be from Sanctuary itself, so it's not super early.
Hopefully the game doesn't decide to auto-invalidate your run, too, when you get that power bomb. Which I swear I've only seen twice.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Oh, when you just get ejected out of bounds in that tunnel, going for that power bomb?
Oh, right, yeah, that can happen.
We'll get to that when we get there, though, obviously.
Yeah, apparently it's supposed to be difficult for the early power bomb we get. It's supposed to be difficult to go out of bounds there on purpose, but I managed to do it a lot by accident. So this is Mining Plaza. This is just basically climb the room. I'm gonna do kind of a scary slope jump on the edge here to skip having to go around a level and knock down the second pillar. It's easy to fall off doing that one. It's the way slope jumps work is that the vertical momentum that you get from moving up a slope also gets applied to your jump if you start your jump as you're moving up the slope. It's a very commonly used trick in Prime 1. They tried to patch its effectiveness somewhat in Prime 2, but it still works to some degree. So generally the slope jumps that are in Prime 2 are harder to pull off. So in this room, I don't have to kill these pirates because the door they lock is one that I don't really need to go to. But they are shooting at me while I'm trying to climb the platforms, and they will stunt my jumps, so that's rather annoying.
And while we're briefly mentioning things that were patched between Prime and Echoes, the developers, I think, took some complaints to heart, or maybe just realized what was going on. Knockback from taking damage is far less severe in Echoes than it is in Prime.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a jarring experience if you speedrun both the games, you switch between the two, even though they mostly use the same engine. So Bomb Guardian, every quarter of its health that it loses, it resets its phase here. It resets its stun, basically. So I do a very specific order of attacks to get it just below half health so that I can kill it in 2 cycles. Because if I do the wrong amount of damage, every time it goes past the next 25% of its HP, it's going to get unstunned.
Nicely done.
So bombs let us access the first portal to Dark Ether. And if you're not familiar with the Dark World, the Light World, Dark World mechanic in this game, the Dark World, Dark Ether's atmosphere is dangerous. Some safe zones must be shot to be activated. So the atmosphere of the Dark World will do 6 damage per second. The main boss in Agon is supposed to give you the Dark Suit, which reduces that to 1.2 damage per second, which makes it much more manageable. But since it's not hard required, and it's a long, involved process to get to the boss and fight it, we're going to basically do everything in the region except for fighting the main boss. So that's going to make the midsection of the game much more difficult, because the rest of the game expects you to have the suit upgrade.
Well, it's not hard required, but the game tried to make it hard required by having Inkclaw poison damage like in the entire area where you're supposed to get to the Torvus region. So you're not expected to survive because you're taking about 35 damage a second or something like that from the atmosphere.
Yeah. So we have to deal with that when we're ready to leave Agon. We have to go through a very high damage area in an unintended way. So there's a slope jump that lets you skip like this whole gondola riding sequence that's supposed to be a hard check for Dark Suit. The slope jump itself, you're still taking tons of Inkclaw damage during it without Dark Suit, so it's going to be very dangerous. That's one of the things in the run that I need to save for. So this puzzle's interesting in that there's supposed to be three blocks that are blocking the sandfalls to complete this mirror puzzle to open the portal. But the game only checks for when the last one is destroyed. If you have space jump, you can actually just go straight to the last bomb block and destroy it. Without space jump, we can only skip the middle one, which is still a pretty good skip. Basically, the morph ball tunnels in the wall, you can actually stand on the insides of them. So we use that to get across the wall instead of the platforms provided. Okay, so we're finally in Dark Ether, and there's this loop that we have to do to get to Jump Guardian to get space jump boots, and we're gonna go the back way because it's faster. So it's kind of a precise bomb jump into a
kind of a
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of a difficult, like slightly precise jump. It's not a slope jump, but it's just like tight platforming kind of jump. See, there is a little bit of danger here.
Okay, there we go. You have to unmorph at like the peak of your jump to get that one. So you're supposed to have space jump coming this way. This is supposed to be your way out. So yeah, I had to stand on a blade pod, which is the container here that has drops. I had to stand on that to make it over, make an unintended jump. The jump itself to get across was pretty precise, but it's helped a little bit by the fact that the hitbox of the blade pod is actually, the standable area on it is much bigger than it actually looks. And now we're shooting at nothing for a minute. Because this boss, Jump Guardian, Jump Guardian is actually loaded.
He's there. Yep. He's not he's physically there. His hitbox is there. So if you go over there and try to stand on him, you'll actually take contact damage and he'll knock you back. He is vulnerable to all weaponry except for power bombs. I don't think power bombs actually do anything to him. And he'll take his normal damage from all the beams that you would normally have. And I believe you said he has 2,800 health. So
yes,
that is
1,100.
Okay.
Which is 22 fully charged shots, or 16 charged shots, 10 missiles. So yeah, you can't actually kill him until the fight is started proper, but you can damage him down all the way to 1 health.
And now that you have your required movement item, which it is possible to beat this game without space jump boots, it is difficult. That's a discussion for another day. But now that you have your required movement, you can get your next key item, which is going to be the Dark Beam, which opens up a large majority of the game.
Dark and light beams together, really.
Yep.
So the dark and light beams they're pretty overpowered, because they have polarity basically. So dark beam is strong against enemies from the light world, and light beam is strong against enemies from the dark world. They also can activate freestanding portals, so you're expected to have them to open most of the portals that are in the mid to late game. And there's also the color doors, obviously. So yeah, the beams being so powerful is kind of why this game has an ammo system, because otherwise they would be incredibly overpowered if you just had infinite ammo for them. A lot of people don't like the ammo system in this game. But some of the bosses in this, they add an aspect of ammo management to the run, which I think is pretty cool. You actually don't see too much of that ammo management in out of bounds runs, because it has a much lower emphasis on combat. A lot of the things the out of bounds runs can do is, if you get really power bombs pretty much vaporize a lot of the bosses that you encounter before you're supposed to have them. Especially Boost Guardian. Boost Guardian, when we get to Torvis, Boost Guardian is the hardest fight in the run. Well, it's the hardest fight in the run to survive. I'd say Chica is the hardest run to optimize. Or, sorry, the hardest fight to optimize. It is the most ammo intensive. So here we can actually stand on the inside part of that blast door and skip riding the elevator up, which is a little faster. Yeah,
now, are you going to be? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you: are you going to pick up any of the beam ammo expansions that are present?
I'm picking up the first one in Agon. We really do need one to make Chica doable in any sort of fast fashion, because that fight uses so much ammo. It's basically the main reason we pick one up. It's pretty on the way out of Agon, so the trick I did there was, like, if you're supposed to have to be in that little kind of security alcove, that pirate, for scanning the blast door panel to work. But if you step into the room and out of it right away, you can actually scan the controls from the outside.
Metroid.
Yeah, so in this next room has a pirate era trooper fight. It also has a puzzle with these crates. One direction of doing the puzzle is to get to the next room. The other direction is to get an energy tank. But we're actually able to skip some of the puzzle with the energy tank by doing a really interesting thing. So I'm going to start scanning this panel, and I'm going to unplug my controller, and then I'm going to plug it back in with L analog held already, and it's going to keep me able to be locked onto this panel without finishing scanning it. So then I can pause again and fix my controller. So now I can scan the panel when I'm on top of this lift thing that it's going to lift up, when I'm not supposed to be able to scan it from that far away. And I can just get the energy tank without having to do the crate puzzle.
Now that I have not seen before. That is neat.
That actually does not work on Nintendo or like ISO loaders, as far as I know, because those do a better job of like resetting like your controller's like neutral position for analog stuff. So it's basically console only. Yeah, I'm not sure if it works on Dolphin either.
And what he just did there was he actually skipped doing the puzzle intentionally. There's a semi-precise double jump you can do to get to one corner of that platform and just skip having to do the entire puzzle.
Yeah,
time save.
So I only had to pull down 2 stacks of crates instead of 3. Going to the E-tank, if I did that puzzle, I'd have to pull down all 3 stacks. There's no way to avoid that one. So that's why being able to scan the controls from on top of the lift helps so much. Because if you're doing the E-tank, that's the longer part of the puzzle. You can't really skip that one otherwise. So we're going to fight Dark Samus 1. It's kind of the main antagonist of I was going to say this game, but the series really. So in any % runs, you could just vaporize her with the power bomb. We don't have that luxury. We don't really have anything good against her. So, and she floats around the room. So this fight is actually pretty annoying in this category. In her second phase, the second half of her health, she's going to start doing super missile and like launching attacks that she's invulnerable while she's doing them. So the second phase in particular, I want to shoot missiles at her. Missiles get her to stop what she's doing and put up her shield. See, her firing at that super is not what I wanted to happen because I can't hurt her doing it. So I want to get her to put up her shield so that she's not doing these invulnerable attacks. So firing the missiles manipulates her to put up the shield. I'm not entirely succeeding in all of it, but that wasn't too bad. She only got off 2 invulnerable attacks.
Sometimes you can stun her instead of her putting up the shield. It seems like it's RNG when it happens, but I haven't really determined what.
Yeah, pretty much. So we get Dark Beam. Now with Dark Beam, we can open the freestanding portal to the Dark World. And Light Beam is actually in this section of the Dark World, so it's actually a point of no return. You have to use Dark Beam to get into the Dark World from here, and then you have to get Light Beam to get out.
And this is the section of the game where we would primarily see these the keys to get to the boss that you end up skipping. One's right in front of you. There's one 2 rooms over, and then the last one is actually right in front of the boss.
Yeah, we call that one the Broom Closet. So I'm going to missile the phazon crates here so that the enemies don't blow the phazon crates up in my face. They do 75 damage, I think.
It's pretty hard, and if you're close enough, you'll actually have like the stun visor effect. So you're not gonna be able to see what you're doing for about 10 seconds, which is also a detriment.
Yeah. So saves are really good in the Dark World because they refill your health. I probably would not take quite as many saves in a run like this were it not for the Dark World aspect and them healing you. So in this room, we have to scan 3 security panels to open the gate, to open the lasers, and you have to be close enough to the one up here for it to count. Otherwise, it is technically treated as a different scan. Here, I'm going to try and dash across this gap. There we go.
And it being treated as a different scan is going to become much more prevalent later on in the Torvist region with some of our scan points. Which is why we'll have to do a certain sequence underwater that you'll be doing.
So I got Light Beam. I was able to skip lowering the first Dark Crystal Tower by doing a slope jump onto the second one. It's kind of a tricky one because it's hard to see what you're doing during it. I also have to wait for the room to load after that cutscene. Because picking up Light Beam actually changes the layer of that room. It gets rid of the night bats. So now that we have Light Beam, we're actually pretty much done with Agon. And we're gonna head out and go to Torvus. This run's pretty cool because the 3 regions of it are they're played distinctly differently with regards to how the run goes. So Agon is played pretty much normally, except you don't do the boss. Torvus is where we start actually doing tricks to change the item order. And then, or actually, no, Torvus, we do some tricks in Torvus, but the main focus of Torvus is having to deal with a lot of Dark World damage. Torvus is difficult to survive in this run. Sanctuary is where we had to do a whole bunch of really hard tricks in a row.
Yep, and coming up first is going to be the first real hard one of this run, which is why there will be a safety save taking up here in just a moment.
Yeah.
We got this. The actual Dark Suit skip is coming up.
So I'm going to get the beam ammo expansion here. This gives you 100 of each dark and light ammo instead of just 50, and we pretty much need the extra ammo to be able to do Chica properly. Chica is the main boss of Torvus, so we're skipping a Morbus, which is the main boss of Agon, because we don't have to get the Dark Suit. But every run of this game, no matter what category you're doing, has to fight Chica, because Chica gives you the Dark Visor, and the Dark Visor is absolutely required to get the Sky Temple keys to get to the end of the game.
I was wondering where that third energy tank was. There.
Yeah, this isn't a randomizer where we usually have bombs early, so first time rolling through that tunnel, we don't have bombs. So we have to get that E-tank on the way out. Speaking of randomizer, I actually kind of wonder what the speedrun routes would be like if you had warp to start feature enabled from randomizer.
Ooh.
It might be less interesting, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's hard to say. I'm not too sure. You probably wouldn't have to go all the way through Agon just to get to the Dark Suit skip. That would probably be like the biggest time save for warp to start right there. Maybe after killing Quadraxis to return the energy.
So this crate is still kind of in the way because we didn't move it from the start of the game. So I actually stand on it and do a scan dash from the post that we scanned to get there at the start. So we have to route back through Great Temple. Temple Grounds is kind of the central hub of the game, connecting the three regions. Great Temple is where the elevators in the center of it go. And this is basically where Umos is the last surviving Luminoff. The rest of them are in stasis, and he tells you to go to all the regions and defeat the bosses to transfer the energy back to the light world and defeat Being. And so between each region, you don't have the stuff to get around the full loop of Temple Grounds because that's gated by like later game equipment. So every time you go to a new region in intended order, you have to go through Great Temple. And he's kind of you're supposed to go talk to him. So he tells you where to go next. But the game only forces you to talk to him if you actually beat the boss and you returned the temple energy, which we didn't do. So we could actually just run right past him. Okay, so the Dark Suit skip is coming up. Because I don't have Dark Suit, I would be taking a lot of damage from the Inkclaw Vapor in this section. So the next room has a portal I'm going to slope jump straight to, but the intended way of getting through the room is to do this big long gondola ride. And it's just supposed to be a Dark Suit check, basically. But if I can ride the slope properly up to this portal, should be fine. Okay. That
Nice.
Definitely wasn't scary.
This is the first big hurdle of the run.
So there are these like light monolith blocks. If you shoot them with light beam, they move into a position where you can use them as platforms. We're just doing some trick jumps to skip having to use them because they move very slowly when you shoot them into position. So it's faster to just not have to move them at all. Okay, so now we're in Torvus without the Dark Suit, without using out of bounds. So the first thing that we're supposed to do is to get to the temple to get super missiles and the Emerald Translator, which we are going to do. But I am actually going to save. Those were not supposed to hurt me. My health was kind of low coming in because it took me 3 tries to get the Dark Suit skip.
Yeah, with a couple enemies in the next room, it would actually be kind of easy to die, even accidentally. It's probably not a bad idea.
The enemies in the next room are super annoying. They're called Shriekers, and they only materialize briefly. They're mostly invisible without the Echo Visor, so they're hard to kill. Actually, I'm not going to be doing too much in this room just yet. So I'm going to be... You're not going to see this in most categories, but in this category, we actually, even though we don't follow this loop completely, we do a trick to skip this loop. I'm going to scan this open because this is how we leave Torvis at the end. So I want to have that gate open just because it's a faster way out later. So I'm going to be doing a BSJ here. If you can explain BSJs roughly.
So BSJ is it slightly abuses a mechanic that's been left over in Prime, where we instantly unmorph, and that is caused by some kind of blockage of the camera. If you are not able to see direct, if the camera can't directly see in front of you and pick up Samus, being able to just do an instant unmorph in an attempt to kind of help gain your bearings. And during that window, the game treats you as if you're on the ground, so you can actually jump coming out of an instant unmorph from a bomb jump, and we call that the bomb space jump, or the bomb, double bomb jump, or or what have you. So you're able to sequence break certain terrain kind of easily with that mechanic.
Yeah, you have 2/5 of a second to get the jump off. But that actual bomb placement itself counts towards that time. So doing a BSJ off a single bomb is much easier, a much wider window than doing it off multiple bombs. Mm-hmm. So we do what's called 3 BSJs later in the run in places where we need more height, and those have a much smaller window to pull off than the single bomb BSJ.
Yeah. So, so like that one you did in Torvis, you can actually trade off having more window to jump for less initial bomb height, and it's just a matter of feeling out which one's which. And now we have super missiles.
Yeah, super missiles eat ammo a lot. Costs 5 missiles per super fired. They're actually supposed to have a pretty big cooldown on when you can use your arm cannon at all. It's about a 2-second cooldown, but if you pull up the scan visor, it actually negates the cooldown. One of the things that we have to be careful of when using the scan visor to cancel the super missile cooldown is that switching to scan visor actually, during the animation of switching visors, it actually causes Samus to point her gun to the floor. So you have to make sure not to do it too close to when you fire the super, or else she actually fires the super at the floor.
If you time it just right, you'll even cancel shooting the super entirely as well.
That is better because you would save the ammo if that happens.
Yep.
So the BSJ just skipped kind of an unnecessary loop, but the intended progression is still to come here and get supers first. We just did it a little bit faster. The next thing we're supposed to do is since I just got Emerald Translator, I'm gonna open up this gate that we're supposed to go through on the way to Boost Ball, but we're actually not going through it yet. We're gonna go there later. First, we're going to go get Gravity Boost. So we're supposed to have Seeker Missiles to navigate the lower Torvis area normally, which requires Boost Ball and leaving Torvis. So we can skip that big backtrack by skipping this loop. So to skip the loop to get the locks here, we have to do a trick called Underwater Dash, which basically, if you jump by pressing B and R in the same frame, you can keep the initial speed of your jump without the water slowing it down. Because holding L and R basically locks whatever jump speed and direction you had when you press them together. So if we press them on the first frame of the jump, then we get to retain all the land speed before the water can slow it down. So there's this big long loop we normally have to do to get all these locks done, but we can actually just get them all at once like that. That went really well.
Going back to yeah, that was nicely done.
It's
going
really
back to
it's really punishing to miss those because you have to go all the way up with the cannon again and try again.
And these 3 scan points in particular, you have to be right up next to them for your scans to activate and move the part of the landscaping up, because otherwise it'll just treat it like it's a different scan. Like, oh no, if something is obstructing the scan, you can't interface with it. Which is why doing these underwater dashes is necessary.
Yeah, so we get gravity boost from here. Now we can move in water freely. We almost don't need it for anything except for getting one of the Torvis keys for the boss. That's pretty much it. It's like the only reason to come down here. So on the way out, we have to fight this thing, or we have to encounter this boss, the Alpha Blog. The blogs are like the fish enemies down here. Oh my goodness. But we can actually just do a BSJ to skip this fight because the thing blocking you in this fight is that the platforms are supposed to be out of reach.
And even if you choose to fight this, most players will probably find themselves frustrated because there is a hitbox issues with Alpha Blog where you can shoot it at its mouth when it's open, and it could still possibly not count as taking damage, just because even if it's partially closed, the game will detect it as either taking lesser damage or no damage. So that's
it's like random. It's like random whether it opens its mouth or not when it charges at you. And if it doesn't open its mouth, it won't take damage. It's pretty stupid. This Dark World area is actually the place where we normally get Grapple Beam. I actually forgot to mention, we're skipping Grapple this run, which is not a thing that used to be able to be done easily. It used to require a really precise dash off a floating robot in Sanctuary that you only got to try one time. Because there's a robot to cross Grand Abyss to get the screw attack, and okay.
And luckily, with the new method of crossing that room that was found, what was it? I believe that was about 1.5 years ago now. Skipping grapple game in this category and most categories just becomes much more consistent, I should say.
It also helps you get to try it more than one time.
Yes.
So like it was pretty bad in any percent runs too, but in any percent runs you get to the point in like 15 minutes. And in this category, it would take over an hour to get to that point. So it'd be really bad to miss it. So now that we got gravity boost, which is basically just for Torvis Key 2, we're gonna go get Boost Ball now. So getting Boost Ball means we have to fight Boost Guardian, which is the hardest fight in the run to survive. So it's gonna be fun.
That pyro fight can be a little bit of a pain sometimes, but can also be abusable.
There's a BSJ in this room to get straight up to the door without having to climb the whole room. But this one's really finicky because of the position of the tree and also the enemies in this room. I'm only gonna go for it one more time. It's pretty dangerous to keep re-attempting. The camera is also not cooperating. There we go. Got it.
Nice.
Okay, so boost Guardian. So I have it's weak to light beam, but the problem with this fight is that when it goes into its boost phases, it's invulnerable. So I have to try and get it to do as few of those as possible. It's only vulnerable when it's in its black puddle form, and when it's fully materialized as the ink form. And it will go back into its boost phase if I do if I do 5 light shots to it, it'll go back into its boost phase. So I want to do 4 light shots, then wait for it to puddle, and then try and get as much damage as in on it when it's in the black puddle. Which is hard to do because yeah, it just immediately came back out of it. That's really unlucky. So now I have to deal with this boost phase. I mean, the big problem with this is that there's no safe zone in the room. So I'm constantly taking 6 damage per second of dark roll damage while waiting for it to do its boost phase. And to get out of its boost phase, I have to do... did it not take? Wow. You have to do between 2 and 4 cycles of bombing its brown pools. How many depends on its current health, and I really need it to break these pillars. So it can boost into these pillars. Each of these pillars has 100 health drop in it. I have to be careful not to let it touch me because it does 40 damage on contact. And I am probably not surviving this fight. I just got incredibly unlucky at the start. The problem with trying to get health drops during the fight is that yeah, in a minute should be fine as I'm retrying the fight. But so what was I saying? So I mentioned there's 100 health drop in each of those 4 pillars, but the way that Echoes decides whether you're in dire need of a health drop to give you like the higher chance for it is if there's drops already on the field or not. And the 4 100 healths being in those pillars count as being on the field. So until they're all broken, I'm not going to be able to guarantee good health drops from the little inglets that spawn throughout the fight. So for the most part, if I don't get this in like 2 or 3 cycles, I'm pretty much on my own. So,
and
yeah,
the inglets themselves don't really start spawning until he starts taking more damage too.
this one's
that's actually a little bit of a.
They actually an inglet only. So the way the inglet spawn actually is. They only spawn in each one of the 4 pillars after it's broken. So now that he finally broke a pillar, now 1 inglet is going to spawn per round. If he just doesn't break any, you can't get health drops, and you're screwed. And it's luck whether he breaks it or not. Okay. I might be able to kill him this round. Hopefully.
Now, one thing that I wish...
Oh, that was very close.
Nice.
That was very close. I need him to break another pillar. Wow. I am probably dead. Unless he breaks one right now. Okay, yeah. All right. You can read donations now.
Will do. All right, so DDG donated $12.78, which took us past the $500 mark, or on the $500 mark. And he says, 2/3 of the way there, let's get that incentive. I know the guy's a beast, but could you ask Azder to 97.9% of this game so we get more time to reach the goal? And then... Did we fix the schedule? I didn't even check.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Then we got Anma, who donated $22.22, and she says, here's for a strong start to the marathon. Thank you to everyone for giving their time to make this weekend an amazing one. Multiple sclerosis is a terrible affliction that warrants further research. Let's do it. And last but not least, we got a $100 donation from Tracy M, who says, good luck, Azder. Can't wait for redesign.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. Yeah, she'll be...
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everyone else, for donating.
Yeah, thank you, everyone else. Just shout-outs to Tracy. She'll be commentating my redesign run later, and
I thought that name was familiar.
This fight is like, oh, okay, he broke the thing from right under me. That's annoying. Hit me twice, too. So, as you can see, this fight is just absolutely ridiculous without the dark suit.
I mean, there is one thing that I wish this fight would let you do compared to the Dark Samus 2 fight. Dark Samus 2, if she is in her boost ball form, you can shoot that with a charge shot and break her out of her boost. You cannot do that with Boost Guardian here. And I find that to be hilarious and also frustrating.
I was so close to getting the other fight done. I just missed one crucial puddle shot that would have really helped. I'm basically in the same position. I could have cleaned it up that fight, and I just missed too many shots. It's really hard to hit it when he's in the puddle. The other thing about Boost Guardian being in the puddle is... Oh, gimme. Oh.
Okay, dude, don't do that again. My heart can't take that. The butt clench was so real that I stood up and my chair followed.
Okay, well. It was a good attempt. Those two were really close if I just managed to clean up the second phase just a little bit better. This fight is basically so no out of bounds hasn't really been run much since like before 2010 when basically Speed Demos Archive used to have a global no out of bounds rule because usually out of bounds stuff wasn't well understood, and a lot of like casual speedrun viewers thought it looked like cheating because people didn't understand how it worked. But since it got allowed, you're able to just get early powerbomb. You don't have to do this fight this way. So most of the Echoes runners don't learn how to do the fight this way. And so when I started running out of bounds, when I started running inbounds, I picked this category up specifically because it taught me the most tricks that were helpful for randomizer. Because out of bounds is slow for a lot of like in logic randomizer stuff. So basically I had to like learn this fight kind of all on my own with pretty outdated resources. And when people who are actually like top runners of this game started picking up this category after me, this is like one of the big barriers that they had to put a lot of practice into before they're even able to start doing runs. So this fight's basically the reason not a lot of people do this run. Okay, this is going pretty well, I think. Where is my health drop? Gimme that. Okay, well, I couldn't get the health drop in time, and I was focusing on that rather than trying to kill him, so... what sucks with leaving him at low health is that, like I said, he does 2 to 4 boost phases, depending on his health. So if he's low health, he does 4 boost phases. He has to survive 4 rounds of this crap before you can damage him again. If you would just break this last remaining pillar, that would be really great. Okay, he broke it. Might survive. Oh, he hit me twice. That's not good. All right, got him.
Nicely done.
Oh, that was rough. You also have to have enough health to survive the death animation and get enough drops to be able to leave the area.
Yes, please get your Pog champs in chat.
Okay, so if you do the fight quicker than that, you might still have pillars remaining, and you can boost into them yourself once you have boost ball and get the hundreds that are in them yourself. But since I didn't have that health remaining, I'm nowhere near full. I'm just gonna save again to get my health back. Like if you have enough health left to farm, you can skip this save. But I need a certain amount of health to survive the next leg of the Dark World. So gravity locks one Torvus key, boost ball locks another one that I got, and to get to the third one faster, I am going to do a 3 DSJ over this gate. This is the multi-bomb jump one that I said was a lot more precise.
And technically speaking, the developers intended for you to have the grapple beam to get to the last key.
There we go.
There's just a simple standable terrain we can just do to get that key out of sequence.
Yeah, there's a dash that's a bit faster than the standable terrain, because there's an ink sphere cache, one of the container things in this area that you can stand on to reach the key instead of using grapple. But it's faster to dash to it from this ledge. Okay, so now we have all the Torvus keys, so we can fight Chica. And I need to actually not die in this area. We should still be okay, because there's I'm basically getting an energy tank coming right up here.
How's your ammo looking? Are you gonna take the refill?
You always take the refill. Like you always need to fill up to max for this.
Oh yeah, yep. I'm looking at your numbers now. Yeah, that's your.
I mean that's pretty decent ammo for like almost everything else in the game, but it doesn't cut it for Chica.
Now this fight is also going to be a little slower just because we are out of sequence. We did not go back to Temple Grounds to get the Seeker Launcher. So this fight will be a little bit more involved and more micromanaging is needed, but
yeah,
I'm feeling confident.
So I said, so I have to scan the larva to get its weak point for when it puts its belly on the platform. its weak point takes double damage once it's like trying to eat you. So it does kind of a random number of dives in this phase here. It does between 2 and 6. It's pretty rare for it to go more than 4. There we go, there's 5. If it does less than 3, it'll actually have low enough health that it'll do an extra phase where it jumps out of the water and you can shoot a super missile at it. I think that's the fastest outcome, actually. But yeah, so this takes neutral damage from beams. Light beam has like the better spray for the ranged attacks, but dark beam is the faster rate of fire for the up close attacks. Its adult form. Oh, its health is actually too high for. Okay, well. I didn't realize its health was high enough to do that jump. I wasn't prepared for it. You want to shoot a super missile when it does that. It just didn't do enough dives in the second half of the fight. It was unfortunate I didn't catch that. The super shot looks really cool if you're ready for it.
And for those paying attention at home, if you hear a thud when you hit the weakness, then you'll audibly know that you'll hit the weak point for massive damage.
Actually didn't know that. So Adult Chica has a light and a dark phase. Light phase is weak to dark beam, so that's why I'm using dark beam to try and stun it here. The thing is, dark beam is pretty bad at dark beam shots travel pretty slow. So it's hard to hit since it flips around a lot. You're also supposed to have grapple for this fight to be able to travel between the different platforms to get to its back. But since we don't have that, I have to make 2 with doing dashes and potentially taking damage in between. So once you get all of its wings off, it becomes Dark Chica, which is much simpler to hit. You just light beam the egg sac. It's also going to spawn bugs called chicklings, which I'm going to farm for dark ammo because I'm really low on that. Surprised it didn't give me more. Okay, well, it doesn't feel like giving me ammo, I guess. So now that I've done half its health, it's going to go back to Light Chica. This phase of Light Chica is much more dangerous. It takes more dark shots to stun it. So it's easier to get critically low on ammo. So normally you'd have Secret Missiles to be able to hit all 4 of the wings at once. But since I don't have them, I have to hit each wing separately, which makes the phase take twice as long, and I have to stun it twice as many times, which really sucks.
Well, I'm just glad that we don't have to see the Seeker Launcher's aiming capabilities yet. That's a little bit of a meme with the Echoes community.
Okay, that actually wasn't too bad. I'm actually too low on light ammo now. Yeah, unfortunately that cleanup was messy because I ran too low on light ammo. Usually dark ammo is the issue.
I've never seen chicklings during that part of the fight before.
Yeah, it's more aggressive on phase 2 Dark Chica. Like it is spraying a lot more dark water instead of spawning chicklings, which makes it worse to have ammo issues at that part. Now we have Dark Visor. We need this to be able to see the flying ink caches, and the flying ink caches are what store the Sky Temple keys that we need to get to the end of the game. So there is no way to skip this item.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like X-Ray Visor and Metroid Prime. However, it all has the hit detection of Omega Pirate, where if you don't actually have X-Ray Visor out, you're not gonna be able to hit it.
Yeah.
So it's similar in that. It's similar to that aspect.
So we didn't actually grab the temple energy because Torva's temple doesn't check for you to have the energy before leaving. It just checks whether you reloaded the room. So we just go in and out of that bomb slot twice to load the energy controller and then load the temple again so we can go out. There's actually no purpose to returning the Torva's energy. It's much better to not grab it actually, because if we grab the Dark Torva's temple energy, the game locks the doors in Light Torva's until we return the energy to the Light Temple, which is a pointless detour. And then if you return the Torva's energy to the Light Temple, then once you go back to Great Temple to route through the Sanctuary, Umos forces you to talk to him. It's actually kind of funny how much like story and like very specifically required plot progression is able to be skipped by just reloading that room instead of.
Yeah, and to go along with that thought, there's only one energy required to return to finish the game. And that's going to be the final energy in the next area coming up, Sanctuary.
Yeah, I mean, technically, it's required for the light suit upgrade, and light suit is required for 5 out of the 9 keys. It also prevents all Dark World damage from occurring. So it's much easier to navigate the Dark World once we get that, especially since we skipped the Dark Suit. But you can actually beat the game without light suit. That's very difficult. There's a lot of really, really bad out of bounds involved in doing so. But it is possible to skip it.
Are you getting your secrets yet?
Oh. Right.
I just saw you head towards the elevator.
So in my defense, so the Seekers are in Temple Grounds. You're supposed to use Boost Vault, the Saf Pipe, to get them. In my defense, the tutorial that I learned, Draconif, one of the top runners in this game, made it an any percent tutorial for a beginner route that I cobbled like about half of the no out of bounds route from. And in that tutorial, he actually forgot to get Seekers when he was supposed to. He had to like, he had to add it as like an addendum at the end, and then make the timestamps in the video point to it. So. I'm not saying that I blame him for me doing that, but I'm just saying it's very possible to forget this item. when you're doing it out of sequence. So there is an instant morph that I can do when obstructing the camera to try and fit into this one-way tunnel that I came out of. This is needed in randomizer if you come here without seeker missiles to get out, and seekers are not here. The thing that this does is just in the run is, oh wow, I got it first try. Usually takes me a few tries. This just saves like 20 seconds, and it saves having to open a secret door and a super door, which would cost me 10 missiles. So it saves not a huge amount of time, but it saves a lot of ammo on the way out. So it's pretty good to get that. Okay, so now we're going to Sanctuary Fortress, which Torvus was the really difficult to survive region. Sanctuary is the place where we do a lot of hard tricks.
These are also some of my favorite tricks coming up. One of the more famous ones coming up is going to be in the big room called Watch Station Access. There is this is the first grapple, or I think it's the first technical grapple skip. Actually, no, it's probably the second at this point.
No, it's not. It's not a grapple skip. It's echo visor delaying.
Right. I'm just thinking grapple skip because there's 2 grapple points you lower in that room. So
Yeah, but that's to get back. Yeah. Yeah, so the watch station access trick. That is a roll jump, which is it uses the same instant unmorph mechanic as the BSJ to let you get a jump in midair, but you're doing it crossing a gap horizontally instead of doing a bomb jump. So it's very similar mechanic, but slightly different.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, just a couple of rooms away, we'll be seeing the new one, the aforementioned boost jump for Grand Abyss.
I don't think we actually named the boost jump, but you know, I didn't say what the trick was, but yeah, it's it's a boost jump, which is basically a roll jump that you start by boosting into it, and it allows you to keep all the speed from your boost ball into your roll jump. You can actually do a boost jump to cross watch station access as well, instead of just doing a regular roll jump, but I'm not as good at it. So I just do the regular roll jump because that's how I learned it. So going in the front of Sanctuary is not something that you see very often in speedruns, because out of bounds, you get early power bombs and you're able to take a much faster side elevator to here. There's a lot of rooms to go through in the front of Sanctuary, and you have to do this fight where you have to kill 6 pirate commandos. So Charge Dark Beam does a freezing effect similar to the Ice Beam in Prime 1, where you can just shatter the frozen enemy with a missile. And it generally is the best option for cleaning up difficult pirate fights. With commandos, it can be tough sometimes because they have a shield they can put up that reflects your shot. But because the Charge Dark Freeze is kind of an area effect thing, if you notice that they're shielding, you can actually get around the shield by aiming a shot at their feet, at the floor instead. So in this room, we can do a jump off of this quad enemy to skip the force field. It has to cooperate, so it's kind of inconsistent. And we can do a BSJ to get up a little bit faster. That room went really well. The quad is usually kind of a jerk. But yeah, so the roll jump that we're gonna do, coming up a bit later, is not a direction that it's a gap you're not supposed to be able to cross at this point, and you're supposed to go the entire other direction in Sanctuary and have a bunch of other items, including the Echo Visor, to be able to go the other direction. Screw Attack is what you get out of doing the trick, and it's supposed to be basically the last major item you pick up in Sanctuary, but we're going to get it as the first major item here. So Screw Attack in the Prime games is used to cross large gaps horizontally. It gives you 5 extra jumps in addition to your 2 from Space Jump.
And just like Screw Attack and the rest of the Metroid series, in the 2D games, it will generally destroy enemy on contact. In Echoes, not so simple. It'll do, I believe it's 36 damage a frame on contact.
Yeah.
And depending on how hitboxes work, you can actually not kill a lot of enemies.
Oh, there's a trick I'm going to do here, actually. So you're supposed to grapple across this gap, and then fire at the Seekers at these locks from across the gap. But we can actually, if we tilt our head really far, we can actually see all the locks from the side that we start on, which does 2 things. 1, it teleports us across the gap once we shoot the locks, because that's where the cutscene puts you. And 2, it makes it so that you don't have to clear out all of the night barbs first. So I really like that trick. So here you're supposed to go under the floor. Slope jumping over that spider track there is not like a big spider ball skip. It's just faster than going under the morph ball tunnel in the floor. The matching is yeah, the mashing is kind of amplified because to lock on to each of the night barbs to farm them for drops, I had to mash the L trigger, which is an analog button. So that's why it was loud, because the triggers have a lot of snap to them. So coming up, there's a watch station access where we're going to roll jump across. So this just gets Screw Attack early, and Screw Attack makes, basically, it breaks Sanctuary wide open. There's a convenient energy tank here as well. So now we're in the area that, we're in the general area of Screw Attack. I'm going to do another trick to open up a portal here for later use. You're supposed to have Spider Ball to open this portal up, but if you jump up the tracks this way, and then you do, this jump is kind of precise. You do the instant unmorph. Oh, I missed the bomb slot. This is kind of hard. But if you get into that bomb slot, you can open the portal without Spider Ball. And even if you have Spider Ball, it's still faster to do it this way. But we want this portal open, available, because we're actually going to leave the Dark World from it later. There we go.
There is a visual cue you can use to line up, but I always have trouble with that visual cue. I just have to feel it out, and even then, I guess I make it harder. I make it harder on myself by doing it that way.
Here is the actual boost jump. So it's going to be basically the roll jump I just did, but I have to boost horizontally into it.
Get some hype in chat.
This is what makes grapple skip actually viable for like non-top players. Camera's not cooperating. Did I get it? Nice, okay.
Nice. Nicely done.
This is like one of the largest gaps in the game. It's called Grand Abyss. So you get screw tech from this room here, which is called Vault, and that gap is supposed to be like basically. This is what screw tech is for. Oh, I missed Vault Dash. Okay, so the dash to this platform is pretty precise. So getting to the spinners to unlock the vault is supposed to be pretty complicated. You have to open a portal into the Dark World to cross to the side of the room and come back to Light World so that you can reach all these spinners. The dash to that first spinner skips the Light World, Dark World dip in this room. It's a really precise dash. Like you have to input that dash after you leave the ground to get extra height from it. How did I not? Respawn triggers are...
They're strange in this room. They're very strange in this room.
They're pretty broken in this game in general, but there's supposed to be broken in my favor, and this one is not. Okay, there we go. Okay, I at least got the instant morph into the bomb slot. Okay, now we've got screw attack. So we're gonna have access to the screw attack for basically every other item that we get here as well. It's gonna make the rest of Sanctuary faster. So you can get 5 jumps out of screw attack. And we're actually just gonna use screw attack to let us get an early power bomb. So there's a power bomb here that's supposed to there's a room called Transit Station that has a lot of portals, and the first portal in it is supposed to be locked by a power bomb block. But we're just gonna skip using the portal entirely and use screw attack to get into a morph tunnel that we're supposed to do a big portal puzzle to get to. So we can get a power bomb expansion here. That's not supposed to be the first one we get, but it will function just fine.
Yep, semi-precise slope jump into a screw attack. Not too difficult.
Oh,
And then from there it's a screw attack into the morph ball tunnel. And the way this works is because when you're using your screw attack, it's actually the size of your morph ball. The game just processes the screw attack as the size of a morph ball. And that is the only reason why the screw attack is able to fit into this tunnel that he's trying to break into.
There we go.
There you go.
But I don't have spider balls to get out, so I have to do a 3BSJ to get back into that tunnel. The camera would cooperate. This one's tough because you have to be far back enough to get the camera to be obstructed, but then you have to be far enough forward to... Wow, the camera just turned me around and made me boost the wrong way. Rude.
Thanks, game.
That was like entirely not my fault. Okay. The camera was really bad again, but I was prepared for it this time. Those are the worst camera positions I've ever seen there. I'm not used to that happening. Usually it's not too terrible. The power bombs are kind of interesting. Once you get Spider Ball, you're supposed to go back to Torless to get your first power bomb pack. So we skip a lot of backtracking by getting the quote-unquote early power bomb that way. But we still actually have to go fight Power Bomb Guardian later in the run for a really silly reason. One of those Sky Temple keys, which is normally locked by a power bomb, it literally does not exist until you beat Power Bomb Guardian and pick up the main power bombs. So we have to do that anyway. The early power bomb I got is specifically just so we can use power bombs a bit earlier. We still have to get the main ones.
Yeah, this mainly just helps backtracking time because you need power bombs to collect your Echo Visor, which you're going to get right after Spider Ball because you're already right there. And then after Echo Visor, you can just go straight to Quadraxis to pick up your Annihilator. So fighting the Power Guardian now is less about cleanup and more about necessity, whereas later you can just do it as part of your cleanup and it's not a big deal. So just better routing that way.
There's also the first Sky Temple key I'm going to pick up in the run is next to where defeating Sparta Guardian puts you, but it's behind a power bomb door. So I would like to have a power bomb, preferably before I defeat Spider Guardian, so that I can get the Sky Temple key on that trip. So nice thing is we can save a power bomb here with Screw Attack. So that rubble that blocks this bomb slot for the second half of the gyro puzzle, that's supposed to be a power bomb to clear. I did this wrong. That's supposed to be a power bomb to clear that rubble, but you can just do it with Screw Attack, which means I get to save this one power bomb for when I actually needed it.
Luckily, even if you were out, there's a bunch of crates in the next room just before Dark Samus 2. So the game would actually flex a power bomb drop in your favor. So it's likely that you would have another one. But if you had to use it here, you'd actually have to leave this room, go to one of the other two rooms to the side, and get a power bomb drop from a couple of the enemies just to proceed to Dark Samus.
Yeah, the problem is like right after the gyro is a power bomb door. Like right after you spider ball up the gyro on the way to DS2, there's a power bomb door. And it sucks to farm one from this particular room. So we're getting the Cobalt Translator, the one that opens the gates in this area. Pretty much only to go fight Spider Guardian, get Spider Ball. Spider Guardian is, well, actually we have to fight Spider Guardian anyways, because behind it is a Sky Temple key that's only otherwise accessible without a bounds. This can be like kind of an unpleasant, annoying fight in some respects. So this is a puzzle boss. The thing that stole your spider ball has possessed a pill bug, and the way this fight works is you have to bomb it enough times to activate a bomb slot, and then you hit the bomb slot and it enrages Spider Guardian and it opens the gate for it to run into the energy coil to take damage. That's the only way you can actually damage it.
Now, if for some reason you were to have Spider Ball at this point, through item loss skip for example, the first and last phases of the fight have spider ball tracks that work. So you can just use spider ball to easily stun the phases for 1 and 2. The middle 2 phases, 2 and 3, these spider ball tracks do not work until after the fight is done.
And these are the worst phases too, which, because you have to deal with the half pipe. The half pipe in this fight is really bad and inconsistent. Oh, I did not want to fall there. So there's actually these spots right on the edge here where your bomb hitbox can actually sort of leak around the corner and stun him.
And this is actually a fight in vanilla, at least, that you do not want to use power bombs on Spider Guardian. As mentioned, power bombs will vaporize most enemies. This is one of them. If Spider Guardian gets vaporized, the fight will not end, and you're effectively soft locked and stuck in it.
Yeah, so, because, like, when Spider Guardian runs into each of these power coils, it destroys the coil, removing it from blocking your path. So if you vaporize it, it doesn't destroy the final coil, so you can't get out. And also, yeah, it doesn't count as ending the fight, so you don't get the spider ball. So the final area isn't just one bomb slot. It starts out with there's 3 bomb slots, and it starts out with you having to do the first one. Then you have to do the first 2 at once. Then you have to do all 3. And he doesn't stay stunned in like the green phase for forever. So you have to be quick, especially in the 3 bomb slot phase. And his gates are positioned, so if you actually get him, if you use a bomb slot to close a gate and it traps, oh my god, I ran out of time because I could not balance the ball on that stupid slope to get the last bomb jump. Okay, so if you bomb that first one too early and you close the gate and trap Spider Guardian in the bottom, it resets this phase of the fight because it can't get out of the gate, so it makes you stun him again and do all the bomb slots again. So you have to be careful not to do that. It also does a lot of contact damage. Okay, so there's this power bomb door that it plops me in front of. Which is pretty convenient that I have early power bombs at this point. Because there's a Sky Temple key back here. It's the only purpose to this area. I'm gonna wait here a little bit in the safe zone for the next room to load. So there seems to be nothing on the other side here. But there's actually what's called a flying ink cache. If I use the Dark Visor, I'll reveal it, and then shooting it gets it to materialize, and it gives me the Sky Temple key. So that's why you need Dark Visor to beat the game.
All right. So coming up is Echo Visor. We're going to need to get another power bomb drop from anything.
Yeah, the only thing that's on the way for me to get a drop from is the Diligence drones and Dynamo Access. The dumb thing about this is there's a lot of rooms in this game that for whatever reason they're set so that the first enemy you kill will never drop anything. So I have to kill both of the drones to get my power bomb drop, and there's still only an 80% chance that I actually get the drop.
Now, personally, I do like the Dark Samus 2 fight here, even though it can be a bit annoying, especially with the Dark Visor phase. She does have added moves to her arsenal, which actually makes her more annoying, but if you know how to get around these fights, it can be really fast. Really
so
fun.
she's very weak to Dark Beam, because actually by the lore of the game, like even though she's called Dark Samus, she's not a Dark World creature. Because she's actually the... Oh, she's doing the dumb boost ball thing now. Nice! She trapped me in the corner. That was cool. It's not supposed to do that. So yeah, she's actually the reincarnation of Metroid Prime, not actually all that related to the actual Dark World in this game. So, so technically a Light World enemy is very weak to Dark Beam. And because there are a lot of, like when she puts her shield up, she sits still for a long time. It gives the charge dark effect, area effect, a lot of time to like zone in on her. You can also screw attack her, which I'm a bit less consistent at. I like to do it for the opener, but she decided to boost immediately, so I didn't get to do it. Also, Dark Suit skip is like one of the big things that makes this run exciting. It makes almost every boss you fight after pretty difficult.
And if this was any other category, you would be skipping this fight as well, because most runners will avoid the Echo Visor, because you can just either get 2 Quadraxis and fight him, or even skip him just by going out of bounds.
That boost off the side of the spider track is one of my favorite, like, tiny little skips in this game. Just skips the rotating the spider track to the proper place. But I think it looks really cool. But yeah, the Echo Visor is needed for literally one thing inbounds, and that is to open the Echo Locks to get to Hive Gyro to get to Quadraxis. It is literally not needed for anything else. It's not needed to target any of the Sonic emitters in the Quadraxis fight. Well, it's needed to target them, but it's not needed to damage them. You can free aim.
And yes, while having the dark suit can make things less stressful, this is a speed run. We are going for time. The dark suit is not necessary. We can go just as fast without it.
A hard mode run, on the other hand, is like skipping
want the suit
dark. Yeah, skipping dark suit is really, really hard in hard mode because of the bosses. I'm not sure how viable it is there, but that's why people don't run hard mode. Yeah, so we're going to use Echo Visor for its one required thing right here.
Yep. You're gonna safety save for
Yeah.
big boy here? Okay.
So Quadraxis is this giant mech. It's basically just a... Oh wow, that was a really... Screw attacking that way was a really bad idea. So it's this giant quad, which is some of the mechanical enemies we've seen before, but just way larger. This room sucks, oh my god. I should still survive the trip to this.
Hive Gyro is probably one of the hardest rooms to traverse in the game.
I'm gonna actually wait in the safe zone for this room to load, because the rooms that have terminal fall triggers take forever to load. I've actually died waiting on the load for this save room before.
Oh.
Yeah, it takes way longer to load than other save rooms just because of the terminal fall triggers. Because the box for the room is gigantic. Okay. Platforms are not cooperating. Oh yeah, so we were probably supposed to get the Hive keys to get to the boss like we did for Torvis, but this gate is not very secure and you can actually just BSJ attack over it. I sometimes forget the Hive keys exist, and they're like the biggest meme item when you're playing randomizer, because they're just completely not needed to get to this boss.
I have only seen the Hive keys required in one randomizer run, where Quadraxis had vanilla Annihilator to escape from Sanctuary. That's the only time I've ever seen it. It's the only time.
I mean, you can still like BSJ over the gate and stuff.
Yep.
Even if you get that. So for this phase, I'm gonna try and stay near one of the legs so that its only attack it does is the leg stomp. Because its other attacks it can do while I'm waiting for its knees to be vulnerable. The other attacks it can do are like, it can do the giant spinny thing that most quads can do, which is very annoying to deal with. And it can also do a big jump where all four of its legs land and do a shockwave. So there's no safe zones in this fight again, but he does. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I wanted to avoid. Where is the vulnerable? Where's the leg I haven't done yet? Okay. I need the drops. So it generally does a good job of dropping health and stuff, but if it drops a lot of missiles, then you can get really screwed on health.
Yeah. At least with the first phase, you could bomb his feet and his ankles for some drops, but you can't count that for phase 2 or phase 3.
I am trying to screw attack the antenna, and it is not working. There we go. I need to do all three of its antenna like this, hitting the main antenna in between. Oh, please. Why is it not breaking? Really? My screw attack must have not hit it very much at all. So I really need good drops from that hit, or I'm gonna die. That missile showing up isn't good. Oh, this is really not good.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, if it gives you missile drops instead of health, you're probably gonna die. I'm gonna die just because I didn't make this cycle in time. Okay. Yeah, there's not really anything I can do. Sucks.
That sadly is Quadrex can just be like that sometimes. You can do everything correctly, and
I definitely didn't do everything correctly, but it still could have bailed me out. And it just decided not to. I don't die to Quadraxis that often when I do runs, and in runs I also skipped the save, so I don't refill my health off of it. Somehow in marathon runs I have died to Quadraxis in every single marathon run.
Yeah, you were mentioning that, I believe, last night, because you were doing some practice, and, like, didn't you say, like, 3 of his kneecaps just gave nothing but missiles?
Yeah, but then the one after that bailed me out with 300 energy drops. Oh my goodness. The death is honestly mostly because I could not, like, my screw attack just did not hit the antenna properly in that middle phase.
The game intends for you to use your Echo Visor to walk onto the antennas, but you can actually just skip that entirely.
Yeah.
The Echo Visor's not actually needed at all for this fight.
That's a lot of missile drops. That means I didn't get health from that one.
Whoops.
Oops. My mic was not off. What are you talking about? Your mic was off. That being said, just a friendly reminder, everyone, we're less than $130 away from unlocking the ultimate difficulty in Bloodstained. So make sure to get those donations in. And just a friendly reminder also that Fate of the Animals is always in the running. In this case, the next one will be... are you doing Fate of the Animals, Azder, for redesign?
Oh yeah. I think I might have forgotten to submit it, but yeah.
That's what I'm asking, because I thought I asked you, but then I'm like, maybe I forgot as well. So is that a yes?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So basically, the way we're doing this is Fate of the Animals. We're going to keep it running throughout the event, and we're not resetting the amount. So the further behind your camp is, even if you're not going to run for the next one, it's still time to keep those donations in for Fate of the Animals. Oh yeah, and the hot sauce incentives are going to be coming in hot, not intended, very, very soon. You'll get a real chance at making me suffer for real, because they range from 1,200 Scoville to over 2 million in terms of the sauces. So get ready for that.
Okay, good news. I'm probably gonna survive this fight.
I was gonna say though, none of those sauces are as hot as your run right now.
Okay, so when you stun it in its final phase, it's really hard to tell which direction it's floating, and I guess wrong. So I hope I can still make the cycle. So for the last phase, you have to boost off of the spider tracks on its legs onto its head. So it's kind of tough to judge the angle for it correctly too, like the boost timing. The camera isn't great for this.
Yep.
I think it's going the wrong way again. Did
So you've got to literally blow its brains out.
I? Yep.
Pretty much.
Okay. All right. We're good. I want to pick up a health drop here before I pick up Annihilator Beam, because the drops here despawn when you pick up the major item, which is kind of dumb. I don't have very much health, but it's going to be like barely enough to get out of the room. Go ahead. Okay, so this is the first temple we're actually taking the energy from, and luckily enough that heals you, so we're gonna have plenty of energy to get back now.
We'll be losing a small chunk of it in the next room, but it won't be too bad. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
because you can just boost right through.
Yeah, so the next room has another hazard that's similar to the Ingclaw Vapor, called the Angst Storm. They're little ink particles that can break through even the dark suit. You need light suit to defend from this. They do a ridiculous amount of damage, but luckily we get light suit pretty soon after this. And this is what I opened this portal for, to get out of Dark World. Funny thing is, if you come out of the portal in this room, it does not set the respawn point for your terminal fall trigger. So you can just boost off the edge and end up next to the door that you want to go to, because that's where the fall respawn puts you by default in that room.
I did not know that.
And so we have to go back to Sanctuary Energy Controller in the Light World to deposit the energy, which is, this is the first time we are doing this to one of the temples in the run, because this is the one that actually the game actually checks for to give you light suit later.
Mm-hmm. However, the game doesn't realize that you haven't actually returned the Torvus or the Aegon energies, and you're like, oh hey, we have all the energy now. We're golden. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's actually funny because you get some room state overlap if you talk to Umos. So if you talk to Umos manually after he gives you the light suit, he literally gives you two different text boxes at once layered over each other. It's pretty funny. I might actually show it off. It's very funny. Because there's one he still knows that he's still expecting you to kill a Morbus and Agon. So we'll have that text box for you. But he's also at the state where he's telling you to go get all the Sky Temple keys because he thinks he gave you the light suit. I think there might actually be... yeah, it is. This is faster. Even though you do pass through that spider maze again, getting back to the place where the Hive Dynamo Works key is still quite a bit slower. Even though you're still literally in that room. Wrong way. So now that we're in endgame, our goal is to
collect
8
remaining Sky Temple keys.
Yeah, which are all over the game. So there's 2 in each major region. They're all in the Dark World, but there's 2 in each major region, and so that makes 6 total. And then the other 3 are in Sky Temple Grounds, which is the Dark World version of the hub region. Quick 120, nice.
And if chat, if you think this is kind of similar to Prime, you are correct. This is very similar to Artifact Cleanup in Metroid Prime. You just have to go all over the world to collect the 12 artifacts to gain access to the Impact Crater.
The difference is this game actually has a well-designed map, so...
It does. Yeah, this is a much better design map. And there's a quick travel method built into this one as well, which we'll be using.
Once you actually get Light Suit, you unlock teleporters between each region's main energy controller. So we actually do use that teleporter twice.
I believe almost all routes, no matter what category, start in Torvus, just because it's easiest to do the Torvus cleanup, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. I just know that
because you have to get the main power bombs, and those are in Torvus. You have to get the main power bombs before you get before you do Agon keys, because the Dark Oasis key is the one that checks if you killed Power Bomb Guardian.
That is correct. Yep.
So since we're passing this one, we're going to get this Sky Temple Grounds key on the way to getting Light Suit. We're going to take a bunch of Dark World damage from this, but we're going to get Light Suit right after, so the damage won't end up mattering, really. And this is the most on the way that this key will be. There's one other kind of advantage to doing this one without Light Suit, actually. There's a bunch of dark water in this room, and one of the features of Light Suit is it lets you swim in dark water. So if you don't have the Light Suit, you actually cannot enter the dark water. There's actually an invisible floor placed on each dark water surface if you don't have Light Suit. The game checks for it when you load the room, which is a pretty hacky way of doing it. So it actually prevents us from falling in the water there and getting lost. I'm gonna do some screw attacks while waiting for the room to load, because they didn't expect you to get screw attack without Dark Suit. So when you're in screw attack state, you actually take less Dark World damage. That's really weird.
Yep. It's also not the same as Dark Suit damage. So you actually take, I believe it's 1.5 damage per second.
It's 2 per second in screw attack.
Oh, it's 2 per second. Okay, 2 per second. Okay, thank you.
It's 1.2 per second with the Dark Suit. But yeah, it doesn't mimic the correct value. It's really strange. And it's 6 per second suitless, so we take 5 times more damage being suitless. Which we will not be suitless for very long now.
Nope. However, because we still don't have Dark Suit, the game will recognize that, and there will be some, just a couple of points.
Should I let the cutscene play out, actually?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So this is the Light Suit cutscene. I'm gonna let it play out. So I think what Leno was starting to talk about is like, the game does, during suit cutscenes, it does a +1 to your suit. So it's actually gonna show us getting the Dark Suit in this cutscene, even though we're getting the Light Suit. The Light Suit's supposed to be white.
Oh, this is hilarious.
And I'll show off the other thing where if I talk to him, he gives me 2 text boxes at once. The last stronghold of the temple in Agon's Dark Shadow remains. Seek its 9 keys to hold what you seek. Something.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So now it's time for Torvus. We have one more Guardian to kill. We're not done with the Guardians yet. We have Powerbomb Guardian coming up that will give us access to one of our Sky Temple keys in Agon, aforementioned Dark Oasis. And we can just finish cleaning up SDKs, and then we will gain access to the final boss of the game.
Yeah. Both of the keys in Dark Taurus are under Dark Water, so they both require Light Suit. So we definitely have to get Light Suit first.
You were mentioning that the out of bounds to get these keys were pretty bad if you don't have Light Suit. Have you attempted those yet?
No.
Okay.
I pretty much not done any out of bounds in this game because I just learned it for randomizer, basically.
Oh, right. Okay.
I do plan to, but I just haven't had time with like all the other like SM Link to the Past stuff that I'm busy with. But it's like serious. It's one of the worst things you could try to do in the game. It's terrible. Fun fact, that light beacon that I'm right next to in this room, that light beacon disappears once you get grapple beam. For no reason. I don't know why. It's part of like the Commando, or the Dark Commando Pirates rune layer or something. Oh wait, no, it's not. That's the Dark Commandos in that room from doing the bomb slot. I forgot. They're from rotating the bridge, which nobody does ever, because it's pointless.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's actually part of the big sequence you skipped earlier with the big Torvus loop. You're actually supposed to go to Forgotten Bridge, rotate the bridge, and then follow that loop around to get to your temple to get to super missiles. But we skip like however long that takes. It's like a 6-minute trek, I think, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go that way, you still don't have to rotate the bridge because you can just dash across the gap.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, please. Oh my god. I almost screw teched out of bounds in this room.
Ooh.
I have gone out of bounds by accident in that spot 3 times during runs. This is done a lot in purpose in out of bounds runs using screw tech. Like Leno said earlier, screw tech is the same size as the morph ball. So basically what you can do is if you do it precisely, you can land in the morph ball tunnel. And because screw attack always force unmorphs you, it doesn't check to see if you're allowed to unmorph in that space, it just does it. It will unmorph you inside a morph tunnel and you'll be able to jump out of it. So this game is pretty badly designed because to get to Powerbomb Guardian, you actually have to go through a Powerbomb door. So I'm not sure how you're supposed to do this the intended way.
Intended way, I think you just have to go down to Under Temple through Alpha Blog.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Oh. Oh. I get you.
It should be better now. I had some issues on my end. So in this room, you can use the boost ball to like cross sections of spider track that you're not supposed to cross because it kind of flings you off of the edge of it. And this is just like another morph ball puzzle boss where you have to go around the arena and do the 4 bomb slots while the spore throws power bombs at you. So what you want to do for this fight is you want to do the outer bomb slots first, because the more bomb slots you blow up, the more aggressive he gets with power bomb throwing. He throws them more often. So you want to get the farther slots out of the way before he starts getting more aggressive, otherwise the fight gets much more difficult.
I think for that reason, most people will choose to do the 2 outer bomb slots first, because he is that much more aggressive.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. Yeah, so literally just did that because game is like, I'm not gonna spawn a Sky Temple key unless you beat this boss and collect that item. But having the 2 extra power bombs is nice. It's nice to not just be stuck on one. I didn't actually say much about Annihilator Beam, but we mostly get it because it's in the way in. It's just like pretty much just needed for the gray door to return the sanctuary energy. It is a combination of the light and dark beams. It has a homing feature. It's not really that strong compared to the dark and light beams on their own. Mm-hmm. The main problem with it is it doesn't have polarity advantages because like it does neutral damage to most things because it's both dark and light. So you get much more mileage out of just using the dark and light beams individually.
I feel like if they would have taken advantage of the polarity differences, like if an enemy had been weak to light and he had another enemy weak to dark, and just home in on that and just do the damage bonus, I think Annihilator probably would get more use from people. But maybe I'm overthinking it. I'm not sure.
It seems reasonable because it costs both light and dark ammo to fire it, so it's really expensive. So it's like generally not a good beam to use for combat. Even though it's like it's called the Annihilator Beam, so you'd expect it to be devastating. Basically, the only thing it's really devastating against is Dark Samus 1, which takes 10 times damage from Annihilator for some reason, even though you're not supposed to have it for that fight. But most other things, it's not that effective. It's decent against Emperor. It's decent against, like, it's got some final boss uses, but it's not like it should be more overpowered, I think.
Yes, I agree with that. So it's both of your Torvus keys. I believe you're off to Sanctuary next for the last key there.
Yeah. We got one of the Saint keys already because we were right next to it, but the other one requires light suit. The other one's in a spot called Hive Entrance. The Aang Hive is like the Dark World counterpart to the Sanctuary Fortress. What bugs me about Hive Entrance is that it's not really an entrance, it's a dead end. and it's very isolated. It's very far from everything else. You have to go down a long path specifically just to get the key. And it's like one of the worst checks in Randomizer.
Yep.
So each of the vanilla Sky Temple key locations, each of the flying ink caches that are behind Dark Visor, they each have an associated hint for them in the light world as to what type of item is there in the randomizer. Just because they're difficult items to get, and canonically in vanilla they technically have a hint for like where the keys are as well. But the problem with the key bearer for the hint in that room is the corpse for the key bearer that gives you the hint only spawns once you've beaten Spider Guardian, and you're very rarely going through that room having beaten Spider Guardian in the randomizer, so it's basically a hint you'll probably never see. So even though that check is super isolated and is supposed to have a hint for it, that hint is most of the time going to be inaccessible, so you're not going to know it's there. And it's really bad because it requires pure attack and light suit.
Yep. And not only that, even after Dark Samus destroys the bridge, you have to reload the room just for that particular hint to show up, because you can't get it on that particular visit. So it's,
I actually didn't know that because I never get that hint.
It's more nuisance for that particular hint. And then, oh, by the way, chat, Dark Samus is actually supposed to destroy the bridge. So the way you came in, Dark Samus will destroy that bridge when you attempt to leave after you collect your Spider Ball. The reason for this is to help show your boost and Spider Ball capabilities. That's a feature added to Echoes, where you can boost off of Spider Tracks. That itself is a little quirky, but that's another story.
That's actually literally the reason that when we leave Sanctuary after Quadraxis, that's the reason we don't leave out the front. We leave through Agon instead, to avoid that bridge destroying cutscene.
I guess we have a moment. Are there any new donations that can be read off?
Okay, so now we got the Sanctuary SDKs. And we're gonna take that same elevator to get to Agon that we originally left this area with. That's the elevator that you break into this area with in out of bounds categories. Because the requirement for using the side elevators to the other regions from Sanctuary is having power bombs. So early power bombs just let you sequence break the crap out of the game if you get them in like the first 5 minutes. Did the terminal fall trigger spawn me in it? I don't think it did.
Couldn't tell.
That's annoying. I thought the terminal fall might have like spawned me on the other side, but I couldn't tell. Okay, it did not, so I'm glad I decided that it probably didn't.
So that's 4 keys down. We need 5 more. 2 more in, well, the 2 in Agon, and then the 3
I got a Curse of Lake already, so we have 5.
Oh, that's right. Okay, 5. That's right. I don't know why I forgot about Curse Lake.
It's easy to forget because the way that we routed in this category is really weird.
Yep.
Okay, so now I'm gonna get the 2 SDKs that are in Agon. They're pretty close to each other.
Yep, and we're actually going to see one more of the Agon keys to get to Amorphous. We're still going to skip it, because actually attempting to get that key would trigger a fight, which once you trigger that fight, you have to complete it. So we will not be doing that, obviously.
I must have triggered that fight yesterday for some reason.
Trying to remember what was there. That was
it was like
yesterday.
ammo or something. It was like light ammo or something.
That was like 15 hours ago. I don't remember.
So yeah, this safe zone in the center of this room where the key is, there is a fight with 6 warrior ring that starts when you touch it. So we want to avoid it and get the Sky Temple key here instead. I do like that this room that you're like supposed to do early game stuff in is used for later game purposes. I think it gives you an okay, that's fine. I think it gives you incentive to like learn the map and learn how the world connects to itself as a whole. There are some tedious aspects to the key hunt. One of the main things that gets criticized about it is the fact that so much of it is locked behind Dark Visor and Light Suit. So like once you see how to get to the final area and you understand the puzzle behind the keys, you can't actually start collecting them until really late into the game. So this is Dark Oasis. This key literally does not exist unless you've killed Powerbomb Guardian and you've picked up the item.
And there's no getting around that. It has been independently verified by many people that ink cache just does not spawn if you don't collect Powerbomb Guardian's item.
It makes it a really interesting check-in randomizer if you find out something's there. Because you still have to kill Powerbomb Guardian for it. Okay, now that we got all the keys here, instead of leaving Agon through the front like we did last time, we can, since we have Light Suit, we've got the energy controller teleporters unlocked, so we can leave through that. That actually puts us really close to where we want to start getting our keys from in Sky Temple Grounds, the hub area.
Now, there's actually some interesting room overlap you can do. If you decided to fight Amorphous now and return the energy, the energy controller itself would have a double layer. So you have light suits with the teleporters unlocked, but you get the hitboxes surrounding the actual teleporter itself. So if you decide to do that, you actually have to reload the room because there's these 4 little pods that are just blocking your portal.
Yeah, this game,
vanilla war randomizer.
This game is very slow when you do stuff out of order. So there's not like a crazy amount of stuff that you can just completely skip in No Out of Bounds. It's basically like Grapple and Dark Suit. Grapple and Dark Suit are like the only things you can really skip in Bounds. But I still like that you can heavily reorder a lot of the stuff that's still required. Sanctuary just gets none of the items in the correct order.
Well, even with Torbus, you know, you get your super missiles first because you have to, but after that, boost ball, seekers, gravity boost, you can pretty much do that in almost any order you want, but not quite. Like,
Okay.
seekers has to be the last one.
If you're being efficient, yeah. Because seekers are literally not actually in the region.
Yeah.
So there's lots of Angst Storm in this area, which like doesn't matter because we have the light suit, so we're immune to the damage from it. How am I not making it up here? The heck? This jump is not hard. I'm very upset this jump is not working because it's not hard. Hello? Game? I don't understand.
The game decides now not to cooperate.
Okay, that was... I don't understand what just happened there, but okay. Wait, if you... Try this... Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now. I think we had a little hiccup there.
Okay. Okay, sorry. My computer froze. I think it's gonna be fine now.
Okay. Yeah, I think you cut out just a little bit right after you pick up the Ing Reliquary key. I think we're fine now. Okay. Yeah, I just pulled the stream back up, just in case. We might have lost Azder. Well, if that's the case, Azder will be going... he's going back to the landing site. It's going to be the Dark World equivalent of the landing site. We call it Defiled Shrine. Well, the game calls it Defiled Shrine. The last Sky Temple key is there. And then from there, it's a quick turnaround to the Sky Temple Gateway, and then final bosses. So we're going to be wrapping up our any percent no out of bounds here shortly. I'm sorry, Bunny. I didn't mean to. So you have a few minutes to get those last-minute donations in for Ultimate. And speaking of that, do we have any new donations? I don't know if you can hear me or not. You can hear me? Okay. I think we just had some technical issues on Azder's end. He'll be back soon, I'm sure of it. But coming up on this Emperor Ing fight, so we have 2 bosses split up into 5 sections. Emperor Ing is split up into 3 parts. We have the giant energy cocoon. He'll throw tentacles at you. Oh, do we have you? Are you back?
Yeah, sorry, my browser crashed.
Okay, excellent. Just in time. Just in time.
By the way, I just wanted to point out we also got a $10 donation by Polar Bear Bunny.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
Yay.
Yeah, also we're activating those hot sauce incentives very, very shortly.
Are they pepper throughout the marathon?
There is never a bad time for a pun.
I assume you mostly explained this fight while I was gone.
Yeah. So we got 2 fights split up into 5 sections. Emperor Ing, the first of the fights split up into 3 sections. Mostly weak to light beam for the first phase. Second phase, either uncharged Annihilator or 4 super pistol shots, and then the last phase is actual cheese. So the last phase of the fight, there is some developer leftover as part of the fight. The prevailing theory is that there's supposed to be some barriers around Emperor Ing, phase 3, and you're supposed to use screw attack to break these barriers so you can damage Emperor Ing. Well, they left the hitboxes in, but they took out the barriers. So all you have to do is screw attack behind the feet of Emperor Ing, and you can actually kill Emperor Ing this way, greatly reducing the length of the fight. It's much shorter than Metroid Prime Exoskeleton or Metroid Prime Essence in Metroid Prime. And it's cheesable in the same way as Ridley just before entering Impact Crater. Second phase here, you can use power bombs or morph ball bombs. The whole thing is magnetically charged. This is one of the reasons why you need Spider Ball. You are a crazy person if you do not want Spider Ball for phase 2.
And it's possible to do without Spider Ball, but it takes several minutes.
Yep.
It's very difficult. It's used in some of the low percent categories. Wait, what the heck?
Of course, because of Emperor Ing's Nat for just not cooperating, he can give you some serious airtime.
This is one of the worst fights I've ever had.
Wow.
I have no idea how that didn't kill. There we go.
He's being very uncooperative. Wow.
If you miss the opener, like basically the opener is kind of guaranteed to, his legs are going to be in a good position for you to get through. You know exactly what he's going to do for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I missed the opener screw attack, so it's kind of open season from there.
And it wouldn't have mattered how much energy or how much damage he took during that fight, because he collected this energy as a free energy refill. So we're all set for the last fight.
Time's gonna be done. That's gonna be done when I do the final blow to Dark Samus here, which, if I get the screw attacks off, may not be easy to telegraph.
Yeah. And to do the screw attack, the DS4 skip, you want to do a specific amount of Annihilator shots with one uncharged power shot that sets you up perfectly to not do final phase of the fight, but we still require some execution and a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
And he just wants to keep firing missiles, so she brings up the shield. Makes it
I didn't get the full skip, but I got I got an okay amount of damage in with screw attacks. Yeah, so it's random when she decides to go to the center and switch to phase 4. And once that happens, you have to do the phase on shots to complete the fight. So you just hope that you can get your screw attacks all to hit before she decides to go to the center. So the damage you can do to her in this phase is capped.
Time will be very obvious in this case, since she's censored.
It should be... Okay, that's time.
GG's. Nicely done.
Emperor, the Eye, and Chrysalis are pretty good, at least. Like, usually those are the ones that I have trouble with, not the screw attack phase.
GG, Azder. That route is brutal, and then you mentioned low percent, and my brain kind of melted.
Oh, so there's a few different low percent categories. I want to do like the 20% no out of bounds route, which kind of needs dark suit. But the really interesting ones are the out of bounds ones. There's 10%, which does item loss, and you don't get to keep the free items, which means you don't have Spider Ball for the last boss. That's the most difficult one. There's a 4% category where you do some crazy kind of time loop stuff where you get a bunch of items to try and get all the keys to get Sky Temple open, and then you trigger item loss after that, and then you can beat the game with 4%. That's also really crazy, right? But yeah, I guess I'll be on a bit later with Super Metroid redesign. Got other runs coming up in the meantime, but thanks for having me. And yeah, thanks Leno for helping me with commentary.
Thanks for letting me, man. This was fun. I had a blast. I hope everyone enjoyed this.
Well, from the looks of chat and from my personal experience, I can definitely tell you that we all did. And once again, to the both of you, thank you for being with us. Azder, it's always a pleasure. And like you said, you'll be back later for Super Metroid redesign 100%. And me, this is the end of my hosting shift. So I'll be leaving you in the very capable hands of Sinith, who's going to be taking over shortly. So coming up next, we have Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. Any percent, no out of bounds. It's going to be normal or casual, unless we break $750 before the beginning of the round. Of the run. I mean, it's going to be by Twan, and they're going to be running it on PC, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.